Present, and we have a quorum. Number one on the agenda, consent agenda items.
Would any of my fellow commissioners like to pull any of the consent items?
Nope.
No? Okay, I'd like to pull item H. Do we have any comments on any of the consent items?
We have comment cards on A, I, and O.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve items B, C, D, E, F, G, J, K, L, M, and N?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you.
The comment.
So let's bring the comments up for items A, I, and O, please.
The comment for 1I is General Jeff. 1A, General Jeff. 1I, General Jeff. This is relative to a travel authority.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is General Jeff. I'm a proud Skid Row resident, a proud Skid Row community activist. And I have a problem when I see on the news where the police chief of this city is in New York photo opping with a potential presidential presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton. And it doesn't seem like that's in the best interest of the city of Los Angeles, or it pertains to city of Los Angeles matters. And so for the taxpayers of the city of Los Angeles, us Angelinos, we shouldn't be fitting that bill. We have a big problem with that. There's a lot of pending issues here in our community that we need leadership. If anyone's in the leadership position, they need to lead this city and keep us safe. And you can't keep us safe when you're photo opping with presidential candidates. We don't see where there's any what the amount is. There hasn't been any discussion. It's just being pushed through. This is not good. This is not healthy. This is bad accounting. We feel that if Hillary Clinton wants to use this city's police chief for her campaign, then her campaign, Hillary for America, some super PACs or somebody else should fit that bill. We, the Los Angeles Angelinos taxpayers, should not pay for this travel authority. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Now we have Ms. General Jeff for item I, relative to the donation of cards and giveaway items valued at $1,000.
Good morning once again. General Jeff from Skid Row. This is a very, very telling item here because it says it's to encourage physical wellness and build morale. So basically, you're admitting that the morale is low within the department, specifically within the Devonshire area, and that officers are out of shape. If physical wellness needs to be encouraged, and I would like to think with a budget of $1.5 billion, that the Los Angeles Police Department would be like a well-oiled machine, specifically when it comes to physical wellness. In this, what they're supposed to be one of the top leading law enforcement agencies in this country, is it doesn't make sense for them not to be in shape. So if a couple of gift cards valued at $1,000 is going to help boost the morale of this entire department in the Devonshire area, where they have a few hundreds of folks within the department of what they claim 10,000 gift cards. If that's what it's going to take to boost the morale at Devonshire area, then we need to rethink what's going on in Devonshire area if their morale is that low to where some gift cards can actually make them police the streets better. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do I have a motion to approve this item? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
We're now on item 1.
Item O, please.
1O. We have 7 comment cards. Kai Utsumi, Jojo Smith, Sylvia H. And this is relative to the donation of the use of 15 traditional junior billboards valued at $5,325.
Good morning.
I'm an activist, human rights activist with LA Can, and I totally support Black Lives Matter. January 2015, the Inspector General's audit of SARS revealed overwhelming racial profiling of the suspicious activity report. What reports went to the Fusion Center, where they collect these reports and store them for almost permanently to profile and target these people. And 30% were black, 50% were black women, and I bet a whole lot of them, a lot more were brown people. March 2013 audit of SARS, 82% of reports were on black and brown and people of color. This is racial profiling. This is racism. And I bet you that the police killing of unarmed black and brown people, unnecessary killing, which I call murder, is somewhat based on all the propaganda on black and brown people as criminals, as they're inherently criminal. This whole, I think, Chief Beck, you should resign. Because you did nothing for all the black people killed by LAPD that you found in policy, that we, the community, found unnecessary killing or murder.
Thank you for your comments.
As long as you're here, this is going to continue.
Sir,
and
thank you for your
police
comments.
commission,
Call the next speaker,
they better
please.
stand up for something that's right.
Jojo Smith, please.
Joseph Smith, Los Angeles Community Action Network. We come here today because we see that there's more and more bullshit going on. You want to give money for a billboard but the thing of it is these billboards ain't gonna do nothing for the city but just keep the steady racist profiling that is going on in this city. Chief Beck, you need to resign. Because all you're doing is allowing, we keep hearing morale to your people. What about our morale? What about the families' morales? So, Chief Beck, you need to resign. Matt Johnson, you need to stop rubber stamping all this bullshit. And sister, don't get caught up in their bullshit. Don't get caught up in their bullshit because you're going to be sitting there rubber stamping just like the rest of these motherfuckers.
Sylvia H., followed by Jamie Garcia.
Sylvia Hernandez, Los Angeles Community Action Network. As an activist too, civil rights activist, yes, I'm demanding you guys to reject this donation of the 15 billboards where you are advertising the iWatch LA. Where I'm going, on the January 2015 LAPD IG audit of the Suspicious Activity Reporting SAR program showed overwhelming racial profiling. The audit revealed blacks made up to 30% of SARs that went to fusion centers. Where gender was indicated, showed 50% were black women. The audit also revealed that 81% of these total SARs were filled by LAPD from reports of suspicious persons called by private individuals. So I feel that you are encouraging more separatism, encouraging the people to be counted to be killed, encouraging hatred between neighborhoods. What does this mean? Nextdoor.com used to Oakland to talk about suspicious activity about black neighbors. GhettoTracker.com to rate neighborhoods whether they were safe of ghetto. What is what are these names promoting? Obviously, it's just more racism.
Jamie Garcia, Hamid Khan, Michael Novick, and General Jeff.
Name's Jamie Garcia with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. So the I Watch See Something Say Something program is a counterterrorism, is a quote unquote counterterrorism program. So under the guise of counterterrorism policies, we're seeing more programs that only target the same communities. These counterterrorism programs are only expansion of the police state that looks to infuse communities with suspicion and fear. The I Watch See Something Say Something program does such things. See, iWatch opens up secret files on people that are known as suspicious activity reports, and they cause community members to call the police on each other repeatedly. As we remember with Trayvon Martin, the 911 call was, "I see someone suspicious in my neighborhood," which ended in his death. It also targets the black community, and that is evident through your own Inspector General's audit of March. So we see in March of 2013, which showed that 82% of these secret files were opened on non-white individuals, the black community making up the largest number. In the audit of January 2015, it showed that 30% of SARs were generated by the iWatch program, which went to the Fusion Center, with 50% of these SARs opened on black women. Though these trends were shown, nothing was done by this commission or requested or demanded to further research these trends. And this is a big issue. When we were up here showing these statistics based on the Inspector General's audit, all we saw was Soboroff ask the Inspector General, is there racial profiling? No, there's not racial profiling. So we obviously see that this commission is not concerned about these trends that their own reports are generating. So I would encourage you, Cynthia McLean-Hill, to look at these reports, to understand what a suspicious activity report is, and to look how detrimental it is into the community, and how the iWatch See Something, Say Something program will only continue to generate this culture of fear and suspicion. So we demand that the Police Commission reject the donation of 15 billboards to advertise this app. And as my other colleagues were stating, that these apps have been prevalent throughout other communities. And what we're showing is that the black community is being targeted by these apps. So if you have any concern about your own black community, you will see that this program is detrimental. You will research it further, and you will reject this right now because you probably don't know much about this program.
Thank you for your comments.
Hamid Khan.
So just to be on the record, at the last, the vote to build billboards, Kathleen Kim had voted no on billboards. So we have a police commissioner who at least is beginning to understand the impact. This is for you, Cynthia McLean-Hill. This is the architecture of surveillance. This is where the iWatch fits in, the suspicious activity reporting, intelligence gathering guidelines, and all of these electronic technologies that are being used for counterterrorism and counterinsurgency tactics. The stats have already been shared with you. Now, going back to the Public Records Act that the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition filed, 72% of these counterterrorism files are opening as a result of See Something, Say Something program. LAPD itself acknowledged that over 80% of when we looked at the Public Records Act, they said, well, this was just people who were calling because this didn't follow guidelines. So in essence, what is happening is that you're giving people a license to racially profile under the guise of counterterrorism. That's where the problem lies. The other issue is that these applications are being used for anti-gentrification, for gentrification purposes. Nextdoor.com is an app that has been developed. Sketch.com is an app that has been developed. GhettoTracker.com is an app that has been developed to really identify, and people are using this in Washington, D.C. and New York City based upon the iWatch See Something, Say Something program. So it's not just about law enforcement engaging and fully licensing people to engage in racial profiling. It is about this application into private lives as well, where any minute a black person walks into a neighborhood, or a day laborer walks into a neighborhood, or a poor person or a person of color walks into a neighborhood, these apps become active. This is what you're going to do. You're going to sign on into this app, and previously you have a fellow commissioner who had voted no on the billboard too. So we're asking you to do the right thing. We're demanding you to do the right thing, because what you're going to do is rubber stamp something and give license to racially profile. So stop it before it happens. Thank you.
Michael
Thank you for
Novick.
your comments. Good morning.
I'd like my time at 2 minutes and not 1 minute 54. Thank you. Michael Novick, White People for Black Lives, Anti-Racist Action. Before you wait impatiently through these public comments and then go back ahead and vote unanimously for this measure, as you've done time and time again at every public comment I've been at, I want you to think twice about what you're promoting. This is about racism and paranoia. You're increasing people's fear. You're increasing people's hostility and intolerance. If you want to accept 15 billboards, why don't you get 15 billboards that promote human solidarity and anti-racism instead of promoting fear, paranoia, and justifying people's racial animosities? There have been case after case where people make these 911 calls and then go out and shoot their neighbors. There's a campaign around the country that says, I don't watch my neighbors, I see them. And you need to see the people of this city. You need to respond to them and not just down the line rubber stamp what the LAPD wants or Charlie Beck thinks is going to promote this iWatch program. The record is very clear. Every neighborhood that's being gentrified in this city and around the country, white people move into neighborhoods where there are black people, people of color, and they become suspicious of the people who actually lived there before they did, and they start reporting them to the police for their suspicious activities. There is a pattern, a very, very clear pattern of fear and racism against black people in particular. There's anti-black racism throughout this society. It targets black men and black women, even black children. We saw the killing of Tamir Rice and many, many other people where there's some report, somebody says, I saw a person with a gun, and the police come and kill people. You have to put a stop to that, not promote it and encourage it by plastering this city with billboards promoting that kind of racial animosity, paranoia, hysteria, and fear. So I challenge you to listen carefully to what people are saying to you today and vote this down. Thank you.
General Jeff.
Good morning once again. Please allow me to introduce myself because apparently I'm not identified. But my name is General Jeff. I am considered by many to be a Skid Row community leader. I'm also the chair of the Skid Row Neighborhood Council Formation Committee. So this item is of particular interest to us, seeing that there is 15 billboards, and particularly some may be distributed throughout our Skid Row community. We have not been contacted in terms of the comprehension, the comprehension level on the language on the billboards that actually applies towards the comprehension levels of the vast difference of the members of our community. Also, too, when it mentions about reporting terrorism reporting, that basically says that based on this application, that means the terrorism has already happened. So we would be like in fear of our lives, probably calling 911 instead, something to that extent. There is, I don't know if this commission is aware, but there is a Skid Row disaster plan, and that would tie into this program as well. And so there's a lot that is being omitted, and to approve this is to just do whatever the hell you guys want to do instead of do something that's sensitive to our community. It's bad enough we have many of our residents are dealing with homelessness, mental illness, spice overdoses. We need billboards that really matter to our community, not some terrorism, pharaohism, schmerism stuff. This is totally insensitive to our community, and we need some real dialogue with our real Skid Row community leaders. Thank you.
There are no other comment cards.
Chief, could you, before we vote on this, could you just perhaps say a few words on the importance of the iWatch LA program?
Absolutely, Commissioner. You know, I think Mike Downey's in the audience, and I think I'll have Mike come up and give the commission a short brief on it.
No disruptions, please.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The iWatch program, which was actually developed by one of our volunteers over a long period of time, was created to kind of institutionalize the idea of how to report suspicious activity that had a nexus to terrorism. The actual definition is observed behavior reasonably indicative of pre-operational planning with a nexus to terrorism.
Ms. Garcia, please stop disrupting. That's your first warning.
Or other criminal activity. So I think what what we've seen, what it does is it's not about profiling people, it's about profiling behavior, profiling criminal behavior. And it also provides an educational value for communities to say, hey, we need your partnership in this. When you look at the number of reports, considering the number of crimes and or the population in the city, it's relatively low. We still consider...
Please have a seat. If we can't have order, I will shut the meeting down. Shut the music off. If there's another disruption like that, I'm going to clear the room. And then when we bring everybody back, if there's another disruption, the meeting will no longer be open to the public. Chief, can you continue, please?
So we still consider this threat to be a low volume but high consequence threat, meaning that it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, the consequences are dire. And so we need the community's participation.
Sir, have a seat. You're disrupting the meeting.
Kenny had just graduated.
Sir, please have a seat. You're disrupting the meeting.
Southwest College. Say his name.
Kenny Watkins.
Say his name.
Kenny Watkins.
Say his name.
Kenny Watkins.
Say his name.
Okay.
Say his name.
Kenny Watkins.
We're going to clear the room, and we're going to take a recess. We're going to clear the room and take a recess.
Targeted as potential terrorists. This is the man who's pushing counterinsurgency tactics in Los Angeles. This is the guy, his name is Michael Downing. He's the guy who heads counterterrorism special operations bureau. This is what happens, and he completely denies all the facts. He denies that there's racial profiling going on. He denies that there's 30% of those files were open up.
Because a mother followed us after she had not appeared in court. Say her name.
Waukesha Wilson.
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 Okay, we're going to call the meeting back to order. If we cannot bring the meeting back to order, then we're going to clear the room, and we will continue without the public. So can we please bring the room to order? Everyone that is standing, please have a seat.
Finish reading the name. Ramsey, Sam.
If you continue to disrupt the meeting, we're going to clear the room, and we're going to continue.
We're simply reminding you of what you've done or not done.
We are going to continue the meeting without the public. Okay, this is. Please have a seat. If you're standing, please have a seat. Please have a seat, sir. Okay. There are 5 people in the audience who are standing. I'm asking those 5 people who are standing to leave the room. Have a seat. Okay, sir.
Can't have a public meeting without the public. So
Okay, sir,
Our meeting, not your meeting. We are
you're disrupting the meeting. I'm asking you to leave. Okay. We're going to recess the meeting. Please clear the room. We're going to continue without the public.
James Romero, 14 years old. Say his name. Say his name. Omar Gonzalez. Say his name. Omar Gonzalez.
54957.
We're going to go to closed session.
People all over the country is with him. They are with him. Where you go with these men?
Okay, good morning. Call the meeting back to order. Pursuant to California Government Code 54957.9, the meeting room is clear due to disruptions that prevented the board from continuing the meeting and conducting its business. The room has been cleared. Do I have a motion to continue in session with only the media present?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Madam Secretary?
The Board of Police Commissioners has concluded its work in closed session. We're back in open session. In closed session, item number 5A1 was discussed, and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. We're now back to item 1O.
We're on item 1O. I think we're ready to vote on item 1O.
I'm just going to make a comment.
Sure.
And then we can vote. I had an opportunity to have some conversations around this program, and I don't at all distrust the department deployment of the program, or even the data collection. But in order for me to I don't have an option of abstaining. And in order for me to vote comfortably yes on the program, I think that I do need to see more research regarding the public implementation of tools like this, and just for my own edification. So, and we can vote.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the item?
Yeah, I'll move. I'd like to make a comment before I move approval. That Mike Downing was, I guess he couldn't stay, but he told me that he was going to comment also on this program's national significance regarding terrorism, regarding Department of Homeland Security, regarding counterterrorism best practices, and that he believes strongly in the program. And based on that, I will move approval of item O.
Do I have a second? We have no second.
You can second.
Can I second it? All right. I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
No.
Okay.
So, Mr. President, that is no action, so we will put the item back on the agenda when you have 5 members of the commission present to take action.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then I would, that brings us to item
1H, sir.
1H. Chief Arcos? Yeah.
Relative to a monetary donation in the amount of $72,792.75.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So with me today is Lieutenant McNeil Gardner. He happens to be my adjutant, but he also is the officer in charge of the Juvenile Impact Program through Operation Central Bureau. Just really briefly, the Juvenile Impact Program, we completed our first program last year in graduation October of 2015. That first class had 80 applicants signed up. 52 showed up the first day, and we had 38 graduates from the program for about a 73 or 74% graduation rate for the 12-week program. Just a little background on the program. We receive referrals through administrators from the schools. We have a few court referrals, and then the majority of the referrals come through word of mouth and also through our outreach efforts from our community police stations to get these kids involved.
So where do most of the referrals come from?
I'd say the majority of them come through the community outreach from the schools in the neighborhoods for kids that who would really certainly benefit from the program. And just to give you another little flavor of the program, if you're not familiar with the Juvenile Impact Program, it is a dual program that while the kids are going through the 12-week program, so are their parents. That's part of the program. We have 3 full-time teachers from the Los Angeles Unified School District that are assigned to the program, bilingual. We have 8 officers assigned, and it's 4 squads, so 2 per squad. And it's just my first experience with it last year and going to the graduation really was overwhelming for the gratification and the satisfaction of the parents watching their kids get through this program, and just the interaction with the officers involved and with our school teachers. So for this year, we are very close into our 4th week of the program. So I can turn it over to Lieutenant Gardner if you have any specific questions about this new class and the class breakdown.
I don't have any specific questions. I was just looking for the overview and feelings on the success of the program and how many kids we were servicing. If this was something we were generally happy with and looking to expand.
Yes. So generally speaking, we target 60 to 80. We booked 84. This year, this class, we've had 66 first day. We're still at 65, far ahead of our ratio from last year. So again, we get nothing but positive feedback from the parents. And the dual purpose is the success of the program, the LAUSD impact in regards to kind of reaffirming the concepts or goals regarding self-confidence, responsibility, the things we're trying to teach in the kids. And a lot of these parents are looking for a lot of help in regards to how to reinforce that in the home setting or with their other family members. In this particular class, we've got about 11 kids that were actually family members of kids that we had in the last class. The parents were so enjoyed the program, they brought their other kids along. So.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the item?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now on item number 2, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Beck.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you. This past Thursday, I traveled to New York City to meet with Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, at her request to discuss policing issues. Also present was Commissioner Bratton from New York City and chiefs from Seattle, Washington, Camden, New Jersey, and Tucson, Arizona. Small meeting. We discussed issues that were important to law enforcement. At her request, I found her to be a good listener and somebody supportive of many of the things that we want to do. And some of the things that we recommended to her was an increase in community policing activities, such as our community safety partnership. We talked about that specifically. Also, other programs which build trust, community trust. So it was very important to her, and then also what we could do to build community safety in furtherance of our goals as law enforcement leaders. It was not a political statement on my behalf. I am a police chief. I am appointed. I am not elected. I don't make endorsements, particularly endorsements in such high-profile races that I am not directly involved in. I would meet with anybody that wants to talk about policing and the future of policing in America. We had 2 officer-involved shootings since you last met. I will give you a very brief synopsis. On October 16th at about 3:30 in the afternoon, a motorcycle officer patrolling in southeast area as part of our CSOC deployment was in the area of Figueroa and Century. He observed a vehicle code violation and initiated a traffic stop. Before the traffic stop could be initiated, the vehicle pulled over, and a passenger, suspect Watkins, exited and walked away. Officer believes suspect Watkins was concealing a gun due to his physical actions and requested a backup. He followed Watkins, ordered him to stop. Watkins looked in the officer's direction, failed to comply with his lawful request to stop, began to run eastbound on Century Boulevard from Figueroa, now with a gun in his hand. Officer continued following Watkins on his motorcycle as the two reached 428 West Century Boulevard. Suspect turned, confronted the officer with the gun, and officer-involved shooting occurred. The officer was not injured. 2 loaded firearms, a .380 automatic, and a .44 caliber 6-shot revolver were recovered at scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Watkins died at scene. There's no body-worn video. The traffic motor cops are not equipped such, nor is there digital in-car video. On August 19th, at about 1 in the morning, Hollywood Patrol Division officers were patrolling the area of Hobart and Sunset. They observed an individual named Marcelo Luna walking on the sidewalk holding a weapon that appeared to be a rifle with a bayonet attached to the front of the barrel. Local residents were also excitedly gesturing to the officers and directing them to Luna. Officers located Luna, gave him commands to raise his hands and drop the weapon. He didn't comply. He pointed the rifle in the officer's direction. An officer-involved shooting occurred. No officers were injured. A rifle with a bayonet attached was recovered at scene, and unfortunately, Mr. Luna died at scene. Both tragic incidents, but also point out the dangers of policing in Los Angeles. Last 3 officer-involved shootings, firearms have been in the possession of the individuals that were involved. It's we are policing a violent city at the moment. A lot of media coverage today, or some media coverage today, on the Newton use of force case. Just to synopsize for the commission, the police department became aware of it through supervisor auditing a use of force report. We immediately took action. As soon as I viewed the tape, we suspended Officer Garcia from police duties. I talked to the district attorney, expressed my strong conviction that he should be prosecuted for his actions. We began a personal investigation, completed that investigation, not only relative to him, but also relative to his partner witness officers. He is still pending his border rights hearing. That's because the DA prefers that the border rights comes after any criminal prosecution, so that we don't allow advance information on the case, and also so that the witnesses don't go through testifying twice. Especially the DA wants first access to them. So he will be scheduled for the border rights. It's with a felony conviction that will weigh heavily against him. Besides the facts of the case, a lot of discussion about the video. This case is fairly unique in that it is a third-party video that was entered into evidence by the court. Once anything, video or anything else is entered into evidence, it becomes the domain of the court. Courts generally look askance at any release of items that they've entered into evidence. So if the court wants to release it, then that is their purview, within their purview. My belief is that it would have been inappropriate for us to release it while it was entered into evidence, particularly because We don't know the scope of what the video, how much of the video was entered into evidence, how much not, and a number of other things. And the court case was still ongoing, and we have a civil case and of course a border rights pending. So, it's video is a piece of evidence, a very, very compelling piece of evidence, but a piece of evidence nonetheless. And it is our belief that evidence should be viewed in its entirety so people can make an informed decision rather than an emotional decision. Last night, tragically, a police officer assigned to Wilshire Division was involved in an off-duty motorcycle accident. He's in extremely serious condition in Irvine Medical Center right now, and following our proceedings, I'll be traveling to visit him and his family. Very young officer, just 3 months in the field, with girlfriend and his mom and dad at the scene. And unfortunately, I believe that, according to information I have, he's lost his leg now, and he's in very, very grave condition. So then with that, I'll give some brief crime statistics.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
About the officer. What kind of financial benefits are there? I'm sure he's only 3 months with a pension, or what does the department do, or any of our support organizations do for the family or for an officer like under these circumstances?
Well, this is very difficult because he has not accrued the kind of benefits that would lead to long-term health care. And so we will be working with personnel department, and I've already asked Chief Gramala to start looking into ways that we can help him. You'll hear more about this as we move forward and find out what the situation is with the family and with him.
Because we do have support organizations within that have been supporting cases in the department where families have horrible uninsured
Absolutely,
losses.
Absolutely. We have.
It's important to bring this
we have
to
the Police
attention.
Memorial Foundation.
Right.
We have catastrophic leave act. We have an entire support system for Los Angeles police officers that will help in this. Excuse me. And so we will do the best we can for him.
I know you're going to see him this afternoon, and will you send him our best?
I will.
Please.
I absolutely will.
Chief, before
Yes.
you continue, you made a statement a few minutes ago relative to the last 3 officer-involved shootings, and indicating that there were guns present at all 3. Can you just tell me which specific ones you're referring to?
The 3 I'm referring to are the Hollenbeck shooting of August 9th, where a loaded 9-shot 22 caliber handgun was recovered, and then the 2 I mentioned, the motorcycle officer in Southeast.
Could you give me the name of the person in Hollenbeck? I don't remember by location. I only remember by name.
It was Jesse Romero.
Okay, yeah, I thought that might be what you were referring to, and I just wanted to indicate that, or to understand if there's some distinction, because I have some concerns about some of the statements that were initially released relative to the Ramirez shooting, both with respect to the age of the victim or the age of the young man who was killed, and also with respect to whether or not there was a gun in his possession. And while I understand that there was a firearm that was recovered from the scene, there is, at least as far as we know at this point, some distinction as between the last 2 and Mr. Ramirez. Is that right?
Well, they're all.
You have officers that have indicated, and officers and witnesses that have indicated that there was a weapon in the hands of the last 2. But with respect to Ramirez, I'm not clear that that's been established.
Well, and as I said, I believe based on evidence that I won't get into in its entirety that Mr. Ramirez was in possession of a handgun.
At the time that he was shot?
Well, he was in.
Only
He was
because
in.
it's
He was in.
important what we say, because we do give impressions as to what the facts are, and so I want to make sure that what we say is what we know, and that we do not give impressions
What I
about
said.
what the ultimate facts are. And I raise this only because, based on what I've read, there appears to be some, from my perspective at least, some confusion as to what we're asserting is the case. So I just want to be really clear about what we're asserting, that we know factually if this.
Well, there are conflicting reports, as often is the case. And I believe my statement was that all these officer-involved shootings involve people that were in possession of handguns. As to the proximity of the handgun to the shooting, I didn't draw any conclusion towards that. I just said they were in possession of a handgun.
Thank you. That's all.
Which I
wanted
believe
to
is
be
the truth.
clarified. No, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
I just wanted us to be clear on that point. I appreciate it.
So on to crime. So far, as of the 20th of this month, we'd have 176 homicides in the city of Los Angeles as compared to 174 last year. That's a 1% increase. We are at a 13.6 increase in violent crime, down from about 14, I believe, last week. So we're moving in the right direction that way. Property crime, we have an overall increase of 4%, with a decrease in burglary, a decrease in theft from person, and an increase in motor vehicle theft, and an increase of theft from vehicle. So vehicle crimes continue to be the most prevalent increase in property crimes. Total Part 1 crime increase is 6%. Shootings, number of victims shot is about equal to last year, a 0.1% increase, but a considerable increase from 2014. All our bureaus are showing a overall Part 1 crime increase, with West Bureau having the smallest increase, and Central and South and Valley Bureau tied for the largest increase. Gang crime is up about 6% overall in the city of Los Angeles, and gang homicides are actually down a little bit, although some of our recent homicides have not been classified at this point. Traffic collisions are up overall about 9% in the city of Los Angeles. That's about a 3,000 increase from the 31,000 we had last year to this time. DUI-related, driving under the influence-related traffic accidents are down 2%. Hit and runs are up 7.8%. Motor vehicle versus pedestrians are down 2.3%. And bicycle-involved traffic collisions are down 17%. We have 9,827 sworn personnel on payroll and 2,742 civilian personnel on payroll. We have 535 civilian vacancies, in other words, positions that are not filled. And we have about 400 reserve officers, 284 specialist volunteers, 57 chaplains, and 7,861 young people in our cadet program. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
First, I want to thank you for coming to today's commission meeting while you are scheduled off on vacation. As you're aware, there have recently been a number of incidents resulting in the deaths of individuals involved in officer-involved shootings. These deaths, no matter what the circumstances, are tragic for the deceased loved ones, friends, and community. On many occasions, these individuals come to our commission meetings, many of them were here today, seeking answers to questions that the commission cannot answer, either because we just don't know the answers or we're not permitted to answer due to the confidential nature of the information. In many of these circumstances, the department is under the same constraints as the commission. That said, there is certain information that we are able to provide family members. I'm aware that the department often makes efforts to contact family members in an informal and ad hoc manner to provide them with that information. Despite the good intentions, I believe that there's more we can and should do. This past week, you and I briefly discussed a process to better facilitate communicating with these individuals, the creation of a family liaison program. This process, which I believe will be beneficial to all involved, will create a centralized point of contact for the family members of individuals involved in serious categorical uses of forces or in custody deaths. The liaison should have a rank sufficient to ensure that they have organizational access to the right level of information. The role of the liaison would be to reach out to the next of kin and assist with the understanding of the investigative and adjudicative process of the department, the role of the DA, and work with the coroner's office to obtain information, and quite simply, to be a point of contact to ensure that accurate information relative to the process is provided as expediently as possible. I understand that they would not be able to discuss the investigation. However, if a family member has information relative to the incident or about potential witnesses, they could provide that information to Force Investigation Division or the DA's office. I recognize that there are some formal processes to work out, but it is my hope that this program could be implemented quickly, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts regarding this program.
Commissioner, I as you know, I agree with your recommendation on this program. I know that many times the Commission is frustrated because there isn't a good avenue by which to address grieving family members. You know, and as I've always, you know, as I believe to my core, you know, even though the acts of the individual involved directly with the police may have been criminal, that doesn't mean that the family isn't grieving. That doesn't mean that they don't need information. That doesn't mean that the process shouldn't be explained to them. So we will work to identify somebody. You know, if the commissioner would like to designate 2 members for my office to deal with, we'll work together on finding the right person and the right place in the organization for that person to be. I'll make sure they're at all the commission meetings, and also that they work closely with my office in order to identify people that could use their services. And you know, many of the divisions have victims advocates programs. As a matter of fact, all the divisions do. And a lot of times it's just about explaining the process, which I think is what the commission's desire is here, and that just helping people get through the process helps them to move forward in their grief, and I totally understand that. And of course, the police department wants to be able to help folks do that. There's also a program that is somewhat similar that's being used in Great Britain. I am not aware of any program similar in the United States. We've already had people look at that, and we'll see what there is to learn from that. But obviously, you know, our job has a lot of dichotomy to it, and there's certainly a value to helping families through this process.
Great, thank you. We'll get back to you on. I know this is an issue that's of particular importance to Commissioner McLean Hill, and I'll get back to you with who will be working with your office on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments or questions for the chief?
Sure. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to thank Commissioner Johnson and the department, the chief for initiating this program.
Yeah,
I concur.
I think it's a great idea. But I do have a question. Crime's up, and are there any stats on Prop 47, the early release of felons and doing crimes that are adding to these statistics as we look at causes? Number one, and number two, this whole synthetic marijuana thing is, you know, cheap drugs on the street. Is that having a measurable impact as well?
Well, I think a number of things have impacted crime, but I also want to point out that this is not just a California phenomenon. This is a national issue. So while I believe anecdotally and through my discussions with the commands and the folks that they're processing, that 47 does have an impact on California, there's also a larger impact that's being felt nationally, and many venues that are outside of the scope of Prop 47 are seeing crime increases. So yes, there is a nexus to 47, but I hesitate to say that is the only thing, because it's certainly not. I think the city's efforts on homelessness will have a big impact. I think that is impacting the national crime picture. I think that our efforts on dealing with folks that have mental issues that can be helped will also have a positive impact. One of the SPICE, of course, is something that is very topical because of what happened in Skid Row over the last week. But over time, the drug that I think impacts us the most in this region is methamphetamine, and the effects that it has on folks that have any degree of mental instability. I think that we all see in our day-to-day interaction. If you look at the tox screenings and of the population and then their interviews of the population in county jail and what substances they admit to using and things like that methamphetamine is above and beyond the drug that I believe is most directly connected to crime in Los Angeles. I know many the big discussion about heroin in other parts of the country right now. Obviously, especially in the Northwest and the Northeast. They're having huge issues with that. We have seen some increase, not to the extent that other cities have seen, but methamphetamine continues to be a problem. Synthetic marijuana, is something that is seen on a more limited scale, but of course is a huge issue.
Just one follow-up to that is that a lot of these issues, mental illness, drug addiction, et cetera, are arguably not. They're our problem, but they're other people's problems as well. And it pains me hugely that we have service organizations in Los Angeles that deal with every one of these issues better than government can, more efficiently than government can, and they are extremely underfunded. And it's my hope that these organizations will be helped by people, especially the privileged, to have some empathy, so we can start getting some of these things under control. Because these are not 100% LAPD issues. These are City of Los Angeles issues.
Well, and of course that is the what I think is the crust of the crux of the national conversation is that policing is far too often accountable for things it shouldn't be, and we should be involved with the mentally ill, we should be involved with the homeless, but we shouldn't be the lead. And as long as we are, then we are going to suffer the consequences of that. We are. We cannot be all things to all people. So.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you. We're now on item number 3, regular agenda items. Would a commissioner wish to pull an item for special?
Did anybody want to report on items 3A or B?
No.
I move to approve items 3A and 3B.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
We're now on item number 4, public comment period. Seeing no public present, Mr. President, is there a motion to adjourn?
Do we have a motion?
Move we adjourn.
There's no.
We adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thanks.
We are done.
Okay.
My name is Eric.
My name is May.
We are in Chinatown.
You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.